Daddy, please let her help. How a kind waitress saved a CEO, single dad, and his little girl. But when he discovered her past, his reaction left everyone in tears. And subscribe now, or this might be our last meeting. Follow, comment, and share to stay connected. Don't miss out. Let's dive in. The rain had been falling for 3 days straight. Sophia Reyes wiped down the last table at Bernie's diner, her movements automatic after 2 years of practice. Through the frost-covered windows, the street looked abandoned, empty parking spots, closed shops, that hollow feeling of a Tuesday night in November. The neon sign flickered above her head, casting pink shadows across the checkered floor. She was reaching for the coffee pot when the door slammed open. A man strode in, expensive coat dripping water, phone pressed to his ear. "I don't care what the board thinks, Helen. We're not delaying the merger." His voice carried authority, the kind that came from never hearing the word no. Behind him, barely visible, a small figure in a yellow raincoat. Sophia straightened, smoothing her apron. "Welcome to Bernie's. Sit anywhere you'd like." The man, late 30s, dark hair, steel-gray eyes, barely glanced at her. "Coffee. Black. And something quick for my daughter." He gestured vaguely toward the child, then returned to his call. Sophia approached the table, notepad ready. The little girl sat perfectly still, hands folded in her lap, staring at the salt shaker like it held the secrets of the universe. 6, maybe 7 years old, dark curls plastered to pale cheeks. "Hey there, sweetheart. What's your name?" No response. The child didn't even blink. "Lily," the father said, not looking up from his phone. "She'll have pancakes. Extra syrup." Sophia crouched beside the table, bringing herself eye level with the girl. Something in that frozen posture made her chest tighten, not shyness. Fear. She'd seen it before, in another life, in another city. "Lily's a beautiful name." Sophia kept her voice soft, unhurried. "Did you know it's also a flower? My abuela used to grow them in her garden." Nothing, but the girl's fingers twitched slightly. Sophia began humming, an old lullaby her grandmother had taught her, simple and rhythmic. As she stood to leave, her hands moved almost unconsciously, forming gentle shapes in the air. Basic signs. Hello. Friend. Safe. The effect was immediate. Lily's head snapped up, eyes wide and focused for the first time. Her small hands lifted, trembling, mimicking the gestures with uncertain precision. Then her lips moved, forming a sound so quiet Sophia almost missed it. "Hi." The phone clattered to the table. Daniel Carter stared at his daughter, frozen mid-sentence, his face a mixture of shock and something that looked dangerously close to hope. The call continued on speaker, someone asking if he was still there, but he didn't seem to hear it. "Lily?" His voice cracked. "Baby, did you just—" The girl looked at Sophia, then back at her father. "Daddy, please let her help." The words came out halting, painful, like each syllable required enormous effort. But they came. After 6 months of specialists, expensive therapists, and complete silence, his daughter had finally spoken. Daniel ended the call without looking at the phone. "What did you do?" Sophia's heart hammered against her ribs. She recognized that look, desperate hope mixed with fierce protection. Sometimes kids respond better to nonverbal communication. It removes pressure. You know therapy techniques." It wasn't a question. "I know some things." She stood, stepping back. "I'll get that coffee." But Daniel was already pulling out his wallet, extracting several $100 bills. "I'll pay you, whatever it costs. Just, can you do that again? Work with her?" Sophia stared at the money, old instincts screaming warnings. "Sir, I'm just a waitress. You should find a real professional." "Daddy, please." Lily's voice was stronger now, more insistent. "She makes it. Not scary." The desperation in Daniel's eyes was almost painful to witness. This was a man who could buy anything, own anyone, and yet he was helpless before his daughter's pain. Sophia looked at Lily, really looked at her, saw the careful way she held herself, the old bruising on her soul that had nothing to do with physical injury. Trauma, deep and recent. Against every instinct of self-preservation, Sophia pulled out a chair and sat down. "Okay, just this once." For the next 30 minutes, Bernie's diner transformed into an impromptu therapy session. Sophia worked through basic exercises, breathing patterns, simple signs, gentle vocal warm-ups. Lily responded to each one, hesitant but willing, her voice growing slightly stronger with each attempt. Daniel watched in silence, and Sophia could feel his gaze on her, analytical, measuring, trying to understand. She avoided looking at him directly, focusing entirely on the child, pushing away memories of other children, other hospitals, other lives. When Lily finally smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes, something shifted in the room. "Thank you," Daniel said quietly. "I don't even know your name." "Sophia Reyes." "Daniel Carter." He extended his hand. "And I mean it about payment." "No." Sophia stood abruptly. "I was happy to help, that's all." She retreated to the kitchen before he could argue, hands shaking as she poured coffee. Through the service window she watched Daniel help Lily with her pancakes, the girl chattering softly now, tentative but present. Sophia's phone buzzed. A text from Bernie. "Table 7 left you a $500 tip. You okay?" She wasn't. Because she'd seen the business card Daniel had left on the table, forgotten in his rush to connect with his daughter. Daniel Carter, CEO, Carter Holdings. And below it, in smaller print, in partnership with Lowell Medical Group. Her blood turned to ice. Daniel Carter returned the next morning. Sophia spotted his Mercedes through the diner window, sleek, black, completely out of place among the rusted pickups and economy cars. Her stomach dropped. She'd spent all night convincing herself he wouldn't come back. That last night had been a one-time thing, an anomaly. The bell above the door chimed. "Miss Reyes." He approached the counter, Lily's hand clasped firmly in his. The girl wore a pink backpack and an expression of cautious excitement. "Lily hasn't stopped talking about you." "Hi, Miss Sophia." The child's voice was still quiet, still uncertain, but present, so wonderfully present. Sophia forced a smile, pouring coffee with hands that threatened to shake. "That's wonderful, Lily. I'm so proud of you. Which is why I'd like to hire you." Daniel set a folder on the counter. "I've drafted a contract. 3 sessions per week initially. My lawyers can adjust the terms however you'd like. Mr. Carter." "Daniel, please." "Daniel." She pushed the folder back across the counter. "I appreciate the offer, but I can't. I'm not qualified for what Lily needs." His jaw tightened. "You did more in 30 minutes than 6 months of qualified professionals managed. My daughter spoke because of you. It was luck. The right moment, the right approach. Where did you study?" The question came sharp, precise. "Your technique last night was textbook pediatric speech therapy. Columbia? NYU?" Sophia's throat constricted. She'd been careful, so careful, but desperation had made her sloppy. Of course he'd recognized professional methodology. "It doesn't matter where I studied." She kept her voice level, grateful the morning rush hadn't started yet. "What matters is that Lily needs proper care, and I can't provide that." "Can't?" His eyes narrowed. "Or won't?" Lily tugged on her father's sleeve. "Daddy, you're using the scary voice." Daniel's expression immediately softened. He crouched beside his daughter, brushing a curl from her face. "Sorry, baby. I just want to help you feel better. Miss Sophia helps." Lily looked at Sophia with absolute trust. "She makes my words not stuck anymore." The weight of that trust felt crushing. Sophia turned away, busying herself with the coffee machine, trying to breathe through the rising panic. That night, after her shift ended, Sophia walked the 3 blocks to her apartment, a studio above a laundromat, perpetually damp, eternally smelling of detergent. She dropped her bag on the sagging couch and pulled out the prescription note Lily had accidentally left on the table. Lily Carter, age 7. Selective mutism following traumatic event. Prescribed speech therapy 3x weekly, play therapy 2x weekly. And at the bottom, stamped in official letterhead, Lowell Medical Group, Department of Pediatric Psychology. Sophia's hands began to tremble. Lowell Medical, the name that had haunted her for 3 years. The hospital where she'd been one of Boston's most promising pediatric therapists, where she'd advocated for a child who'd shown signs of abuse, where Dr. Miranda Lowell had accused her of falsifying reports and crossing professional boundaries, where her entire career had been systematically destroyed in a matter of weeks. She'd been 24 years old, idealistic, and convinced the truth would save her. It hadn't. The medical board had revoked her license. The press had painted her as an obsessive young therapist who'd overstepped. Her engagement had ended. Her apartment had been foreclosed. Everything she'd built, 7 years of school, mountains of debt, a future she'd worked so hard for, gone. And now, the universe had placed the daughter of Lowell Medical's newest partner directly in her path. Sophia sank onto the couch, vision blurring with tears she'd thought she'd cried out years ago. She could still see that boy's face, Tommy, 8 years old, with cigarette burns on his arms and a father who donated millions to the hospital. Could still hear Miranda's cold voice. "You're making serious accusations without evidence. I'm afraid we have no choice but to let you go." 2 months later, Tommy had been found dead. The official report said accident. Sophia knew better. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Daniel Carter. Lily keeps asking about you. Please reconsider. I'll triple whatever you're making at the diner." Sophia stared at the message. Daniel's card balanced between her fingers. She should block his number. Should tell him to find someone else. Should protect herself from the inevitable disaster that came from getting anywhere near Lowell Medical again. But then she remembered Lily's voice, small and scared but trying. Remembered the way the girl had looked at her with hope. She'd failed Tommy. Maybe she could save Lily. Sophia typed slowly. "One condition. I choose when and where we meet. No hospitals, no clinics, and this stays quiet." The response came immediately. "Agreed. Thank you." She set down the phone and walked to the window, watching rain streak down the glass. Somewhere across the city, in a house she'd never see, Daniel Carter was probably telling his daughter the good news. Lily would be happy, excited, and Sophia would be walking straight back into the jaws of the institution that had destroyed her. But this time she wouldn't be naive. This time she'd be ready. The reflection in the window showed a woman who'd survived 3 years of hell, who'd lost everything and clawed her way back to basic survival, who'd learned that the world wasn't fair, wasn't kind, and didn't reward honesty. Sophia Reyes had been broken once. She wouldn't let it happen again. The sessions began in Daniel's penthouse. Sophia arrived on Saturday morning, backpack filled with materials she'd kept hidden for 3 years, flashcards, rhythm instruments, breathing exercises. The doorman had looked at her like she'd wandered into the wrong building, but Daniel's name on the visitor list opened every door. The elevator rose 47 floors. "Miss Sophia!" Lily rushed to greet her, practically vibrating with excitement. "Daddy says we get to play games today. The best kind of games." Sophia set down her bag, taking in the space, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor, minimalist furniture that probably cost more than her annual salary, art that belonged in museums. "Where should we set up?" Daniel emerged from what looked like a home office, tablet in hand. "The living room has the most space. Can I get you coffee? Water?" "I'm fine, thank you." Sophia began arranging materials on the marble coffee table, hyper-aware of his presence. He'd traded the business suit for jeans and a sweater, looking more human, more approachable, more dangerous. For 90 minutes she worked with Lily through carefully structured exercises. The girl responded beautifully, her voice gaining strength, her confidence building with each small victory. Daniel observed from across the room, occasionally taking notes, never interrupting. "You're a natural teacher," he said after Lily had gone to wash her hands. "The way you adapt to her responses, adjust the difficulty in real time. That's not something you learn from a few classes." Sophia packed away the materials, avoiding his gaze. "Some people are just intuitive with kids. Columbia has an excellent speech pathology program." His voice was casual, but she heard the question underneath. "One of the best on the East Coast." Her hands stilled. "I wouldn't know." "Really? Because I called them yesterday." He moved closer, and she forced herself not to step back. Asked about their curriculum. "The techniques you're using, adaptive rhythm therapy, bilateral stimulation, trauma-informed vocal exercises. Those are advanced graduate-level methodologies." "Mr. Carter." "Daniel." "Daniel." She met his eyes finally. Saw the intelligence there. The determination. "My credentials aren't important. What matters is helping Lily." "I disagree." He pulled out his phone, scrolling to something. "What matters is knowing who's working with my daughter. So I did some research. Sophia Reyes, age 27, moved to Boston 3 years ago. Before that, nothing. No digital footprint, no previous addresses, no employment history." Her heart hammered against her ribs. "Maybe I value my privacy. Or maybe you're hiding something." The accusation hung in the air between them. Sophia straightened her spine, channeling every ounce of dignity she had left. "If you don't trust me, find someone else. I'm sure Lowell Medical has a long list of qualified therapists." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe respect. "You're right. I apologize." He pocketed his phone. "Lily trusts you, and that's rare. I shouldn't have. Daddy, Miss Sophia, come see. Lily's voice carried from down the hall. The tension broke. Daniel gestured for Sophia to follow, and they found Lily in what appeared to be a music room, fingers dancing across piano keys. She hasn't touched that since. Daniel's voice caught. Since the accident. Sophia's professional instincts kicked in. What happened? If you're comfortable sharing. He was quiet for a long moment, watching his daughter play. Car crash. 6 months ago. My wife was driving. His jaw tightened. I was in Tokyo for a merger. Got the call at 3 in the morning. I'm so sorry. Lily was in the back seat. Saw everything. He ran a hand through his hair, and for the first time, Sophia saw past the CEO exterior to the grieving father underneath. The doctor said she's physically fine, but she stopped talking that day. Just shut down completely. Sophia's throat tightened. Trauma. Deep and devastating. The kind that broke children in ways no one could see. She's strong, Sophia said quietly. Stronger than she knows. The fact that she's responding to therapy so quickly, that's all her, not me. Daniel looked at her then, really looked at her, and she felt exposed under that gaze. You've done this before. Professionally. It wasn't a question. Before Sophia could respond, the door opened. An elegant woman in her 60s entered. Designer clothes and perfect posture radiating old money and authority. Daniel, She stopped, eyes landing on Sophia. Who is this? Mother. Daniel's tone shifted, becoming more formal. This is Sophia Reyes. She's been working with Lily. Helen Carter's expression could have frozen fire. Working with her? I thought we agreed Dr. Morrison from Lowell Medical would handle Lily's therapy. Dr. Morrison wasn't effective. Sophia is. A waitress. Helen's gaze raked over Sophia's worn jeans and second-hand jacket. You're trusting our granddaughter to a waitress? Grandma, don't be mean. Lily appeared in the doorway, hands on hips. Miss Sophia makes me feel normal, not broken. The words hit like a physical blow. Helen's expression softened fractionally, but her eyes remained suspicious when they returned to Sophia. What are your qualifications, Miss Reyes? Sophia held her ground even as her palms began to sweat. I have experience working with traumatized children. That's all that should matter. Experience isn't certification. Where did you train? Mother, that's enough. Daniel stepped between them. Sophia is helping Lily when no one else could. I'd appreciate you respecting that. Helen's lips pressed into a thin line. I'm calling Miranda Lowell. If this girl is practicing therapy without a license, I'm not practicing anything. Sophia's voice came out steadier than she felt. I'm spending time with a child who asked for help. There's no law against that. The two women stared at each other, tension crackling in the air. Finally, Helen turned to Daniel. We'll discuss this later, privately. She left, expensive perfume lingering in her wake. Daniel exhaled slowly. I apologize for my mother. She's protective. She's right to be suspicious. Sophia gathered her things quickly. I should go. Sophia, I'll see you next session. She forced a smile for Lily, who looked worried. Keep practicing those breathing exercises, okay? She made it to the elevator before her composure cracked. As the doors closed, she caught Daniel's reflection in the polished metal, watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Downstairs, Sophia pulled out her phone with shaking hands. One missed call. The number made her blood run cold. Lowell Medical Group. They knew she was back. The email arrived at 11 p.m. Sophia stared at her laptop screen, reading the message for the third time, hoping the words would somehow change. Dear Miss Reyes, it's been quite some time. I was surprised to hear your name mentioned in connection with the Carter family. Perhaps we should meet to discuss your renewed interest in pediatric therapy. I'm certain we have much to catch up on. I'm available tomorrow at 2 p.m. My office. Don't be late. Best regards, Dr. Miranda Lowell, Director, Pediatric Psychology, Lowell Medical Group. Sophia's hands trembled as she closed the laptop. 3 years. She'd managed to stay invisible for 3 years. And now, because of one traumatized child and her powerful father, Miranda knew exactly where to find her. She didn't sleep that night. At 1:45 p.m. the next day, Sophia stood outside Lowell Medical's glass tower, nausea churning in her stomach. The building looked exactly the same, modern, expensive, intimidating. She'd once walked through these doors with pride, wearing professional clothes and carrying hopes for the future. Now she wore her waitress uniform under a cheap coat, carrying nothing but dread. The elevator ride to the 8th floor felt like ascending to her own execution. Miranda's office was exactly as Sophia remembered. Mahogany desk, diplomas covering one wall, a view of the Charles River that probably cost more than Sophia made in a year. The woman herself sat behind the desk, blonde hair perfectly styled, smile perfectly false. "Sophia, you look different." Miranda's gaze swept over her dismissively. "Please sit." Sophia remained standing. "What do you want?" "Direct. I appreciate that." Miranda leaned back in her leather chair. "I want to understand why you're inserting yourself into the Carter family's life. Lily is under our care. We have qualified professionals handling her case. Lily asked for my help. Lily is a traumatized 7-year-old who doesn't understand the complexity of her situation." Miranda's tone hardened. "You, however, should know better. Or have you forgotten what happens when unlicensed individuals practice therapy?" The threat hung in the air, sharp and clear. Sophia's nails dug into her palms. "I'm not practicing anything. I'm spending time with a child. That's not illegal." "No, but practicing medicine without a license is. Misrepresenting your credentials is. Fraud is." Miranda stood, moving to the window. "The Carters are important partners. Daniel's mother has already expressed concerns about your background. One phone call from me and they'll know everything. Your license revocation. The accusations. Tommy Chen." The name hit like a slap. Sophia's vision blurred with sudden tears she refused to shed. "You killed that boy," Sophia whispered. "You covered up his father's abuse because he donated millions to this hospital. I protected this institution from a reckless therapist making unfounded accusations." Miranda turned, eyes cold. "The board agreed. The police agreed. The medical examiner ruled it an accident. You paid them off. I saved careers, reputations, this entire department." Miranda moved closer and Sophia forced herself not to retreat. "You were young, idealistic, convinced you were saving the world. You nearly destroyed everything we'd built. A child died. A child with a history of clumsiness and poor supervision fell downstairs. Tragic, yes, but not abuse." Miranda's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Unless you have evidence suggesting otherwise." Sophia had nothing. She'd never had anything except instinct and a child's frightened eyes. It hadn't been enough then. It wouldn't be enough now. "Here's what's going to happen," Miranda continued, returning to her desk. "You're going to distance yourself from the Carter family immediately. You'll tell Daniel that you can't continue, that you're not qualified, whatever excuse you'd like. Dr. Morrison will resume Lily's care. Lily won't respond to Morrison. Lily will adapt. Children are resilient." Miranda pulled out a business card, sliding it across the desk. "This is a colleague in New York. He's willing to offer you a receptionist position far from Boston, far from my patients. I suggest you take it." Sophia stared at the card, bile rising in her throat. "And if I refuse? Then I make one phone call to Daniel Carter. I show him the board transcripts, the accusations against you, the restraining order Tommy's father filed." Miranda's expression was almost pitying. "I paint you as an obsessive woman with boundary issues who targets vulnerable families. Who do you think he'll believe? A respected physician with impeccable credentials? Or a waitress with a destroyed career and no evidence?" The walls felt like they were closing in. Sophia's carefully rebuilt life, fragile as it was, crumbling again. "You're a monster," she breathed. "I'm a professional protecting my patients and this institution." Miranda returned to her paperwork, dismissing Sophia with the gesture. "You have until Friday to inform the Carters. After that, I take matters into my own hands." Sophia walked out on shaking legs, barely making it to the parking garage before the panic attack hit. She braced herself against a concrete pillar, gasping for air, the familiar sensation of drowning overwhelming her senses. 3 years of survival, 3 years of staying invisible, 3 years of trying to forget Tommy's face, all unraveling because she'd tried to help one more child. Her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. "Lily won't stop talking about your session. She's asking when you're coming back. Thank you for giving me my daughter back." Sophia slid down the pillar, sitting on the cold concrete, phone clutched in trembling hands. She'd failed Tommy. She couldn't fail Lily. But Miranda held all the cards, the reputation, the connections, the power to destroy whatever pathetic life Sophia had managed to scrape together. Above her, the Lowell medical sign gleamed in the afternoon sun, bright and clean and utterly ruthless. Sophia closed her eyes and tried to remember how to breathe. Sophia didn't go to work the next day. She sat in her apartment, staring at her phone, drafting and deleting the same message to Daniel over and over. I can't continue with Lily's therapy. I'm not qualified. You should find someone better. The words felt like betrayal, but what choice did she have? Miranda's deadline loomed. Friday. 3 days to disappear from Lily's life before the truth. Miranda's version of it destroyed everything. The knock on her door at 10 a.m. made her jump. Sophia, it's Ben Torres. Open up. Ben. She'd almost forgotten about him. The investigative journalist who'd been the only person to question the official story 3 years ago. They'd lost touch after she'd moved, changed her number, tried to erase her old life completely. She opened the door. Ben looked the same. Rumpled jacket, perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, eyes that saw too much. How did you find me? Her voice came out hoarse. I'm a journalist. It's literally my job. He held up a USB drive. But that's not why I'm here. Can I come in? Sophia stepped aside, too tired to resist. Ben entered, glancing around the sparse apartment with an expression that might have been pity. You've been busy, he said, nodding toward her laptop where Daniel's contact information was still displayed. Daniel Carter. That's a significant name to be associated with. I'm not associated with anyone. I help his daughter with speech exercises, that's all. Through Lowell Medical's network. Ben's tone sharpened. Sophia, do you know what you're walking into? I know exactly what I'm walking into. Miranda already made sure of that. She sank onto the couch. She gave me until Friday to quit. After that, she tells Daniel everything, her version of everything. What if I told you there's another version? Ben held up the USB drive. I never stopped digging into Tommy Chen's death, never believed that accident story. His expression turned grim. 2 months ago, I finally found someone willing to talk. A nurse who worked pediatric ICU the night Tommy died. Sophia's breath caught. What did she say? That the injuries didn't match a fall. That Dr. Lowell personally handled the intake paperwork. That she saw Miranda meeting with Raymond Chen, Tommy's father, in the parking garage at 2 a.m., exchanging an envelope. Ben moved closer. I couldn't get her to go on record. She's terrified of losing her pension. But she had access to something Miranda didn't know about. He opened his laptop, inserted the drive, and pulled up a video file. Hospital security footage. The system automatically backs up to an off-site server that IT barely monitors. This particular footage was supposed to be erased 3 years ago. His finger hovered over the play button. It wasn't. The video showed Miranda's office. Grainy. Time-stamped. Damning. Sophia watched Miranda meet with Raymond Chen. Watched them review paperwork. Watched Miranda physically alter medical records on her computer screen. The timestamp read 2 days before Tommy's death. She falsified the original intake reports, Ben explained. Tommy came in with clear signs of ongoing abuse, cigarette burns, old fractures, bruising patterns consistent with restraint. Miranda documented it as childhood clumsiness and accidental injury. Sophia's hands covered her mouth. That's what I reported. That's what got me fired. Because you were right. Ben pulled up another file. Here's the financial records I managed to obtain through a source at the bank. Raymond Chen donated $2.3 million to Lowell Medical the week after Tommy's death. Officially labeled as Grief Counseling Fund. Unofficially, a payoff. Exactly. Ben closed the laptop. This is enough to reopen the investigation. Enough to prove you were telling the truth. Enough to destroy Miranda's career the way she destroyed yours. Sophia stared at the USB drive like it was a grenade. 3 years. She'd spent 3 years believing she'd failed, believing no one would ever believe her, believing justice was a fairy tale for people with money and power. Why are you giving this to me? Her voice cracked. You could publish this yourself, win awards. This is the kind of story that makes careers. Ben's expression softened. Because you lost everything trying to save that kid. Because I've watched you survive on nothing, working yourself to exhaustion, carrying guilt that was never yours to carry. He placed the drive in her hand. This isn't my story to tell. It's yours. Sophia's fingers closed around the drive, feeling the weight of it. Not just plastic and metal, but proof, vindication. 3 years of stolen life potentially restored. Miranda won't go down easily, she whispered. She has lawyers, connections, the entire medical establishment protecting her. True. Ben stood. But you have something she doesn't. The truth. And a very powerful, very protective CEO who cares about his daughter's well-being. He paused at the door. Daniel Carter built an empire on reading people, on knowing who to trust. Give him a reason to trust you. After he left, Sophia sat holding the USB drive, mind racing. She could expose Miranda, clear her name, maybe even get her license reinstated. But it would mean revealing everything to Daniel, the accusations, the destroyed career, the fact that she'd been lying by omission since the moment they met. He'd trusted her with his daughter, his most precious thing, and she'd been hiding the truth. Her phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. Mother is pushing hard for Dr. Morrison to take over. I'm holding her off, but I need to know. Can I trust you? Not as Lily's therapist, but as a person. Because my daughter is talking again, laughing again, and I can't risk losing that. I can't risk losing her. Please be honest with me. Sophia read the message 3 times, each word cutting deeper. Honest. He wanted honesty. She looked at the USB drive, then at her laptop, then at the photo on her wall, the only one she'd kept from her old life. Her graduation from Columbia, beaming with hope and naivety, believing in justice and happy endings. That girl was gone. But maybe, she could give Lily the justice Tommy never got. Sophia opened her laptop and began typing. Can we meet? There's something you need to know about my past. About Lowell Medical. About why I really know how to help Lily. It's not a pretty story, but you deserve the truth. She hit send before courage could fail her. The response came within seconds. My office. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Sophia clutched the USB drive and let herself cry for Tommy, for her lost career, for the girl she'd been and the woman she'd become. Tomorrow she'd face Daniel Carter with the truth. After that, everything would change. Daniel's office occupied the entire top floor of Carter Holdings. Sophia stood in the glass elevator, watching Boston shrink beneath her, the USB drive heavy in her pocket. She'd rehearsed what to say 100 times during the sleepless night. None of it felt adequate. The receptionist directed her to a conference room overlooking the harbor. Daniel was already there, standing at the window, hands in his pockets. He turned as she entered. Thank you for coming. His expression was unreadable, professional, guarded. Coffee? No, thank you. Sophia set her bag on the table, not sitting. I need to tell you something and you're not going to like it. You're not actually a waitress. She blinked. What? I had you investigated. Daniel pulled out a file folder. After my mother's concerns, I hired a private investigator. It took him 2 days. He opened the folder, revealing printed documents. Sophia Marie Reyes, graduated Columbia University with honors, specialized in pediatric trauma therapy. Worked at Lowell Medical for 18 months. License revoked 3 years ago following accusations of professional misconduct and boundary violations with a patient. Sophia's legs felt weak. She gripped the chair back. Then you know. I know Miranda Lowell's version. His voice was carefully neutral. I'd like to hear yours. She hadn't expected that. Hadn't expected him to ask, to listen, to give her any chance at all to defend herself. His name was Tommy Chen. Sophia began, surprised by how steady her voice sounded. 8 years old. Brilliant kid. Loved dinosaurs. Came in for speech therapy after a playground accident left him with a broken jaw. Daniel remained silent, watching her. The injuries didn't match the story. Neither did his behavior, flinching when adults moved too quickly. Fear responses that suggested long-term trauma. Cigarette burns on his arms that were documented as accidental contact with camping equipment. Sophia's hands clenched. I reported suspected abuse to Dr. Lowell. She told me I was overreacting, that his father was a respected businessman and major hospital donor, that I needed evidence before making such serious accusations. Did you have evidence? I had a terrified child who drew pictures of a man hurting him. I had behavioral patterns consistent with ongoing abuse. I had medical documentation that didn't match the reported cause of injury. Sophia met his eyes. I didn't have video footage of Raymond Chen beating his son, if that's what you mean. Daniel's jaw tightened. What happened? Miranda fired me. Said I was developing an inappropriate attachment, crossing professional boundaries, seeing abuse where none existed. She had me investigated, found some old parking tickets and a personal email I'd sent to Tommy's teacher expressing concern. Painted me as an obsessive young therapist with poor judgment. Sophia's voice cracked. The board revoked my license. Raymond Chen filed a restraining order. I lost everything, my career, my apartment, my fiancé. 2 months later, Tommy fell down the stairs and died. Ruled accidental. The silence stretched between them. Daniel turned back to the window, and Sophia couldn't read his expression. Why didn't you tell me this before? His voice was quiet. When you started working with Lily? Because I knew what you'd think. What everyone thinks, that I'm the girl who cried wolf, who saw abuse that wasn't there, who ruined her own career through poor judgment. Sophia pulled out the USB drive with shaking hands. But I wasn't wrong, I was right. And Miranda destroyed me to protect a wealthy donor. She placed the drive on the table between them. A journalist friend recovered security footage from the hospital. It shows Miranda falsifying Tommy's medical records, meeting with Raymond Chen, accepting payment to cover up clear signs of abuse. Her throat tightened. It's all there, proof that I was telling the truth, that Tommy died because the people who should have protected him chose money instead. Daniel stared at the drive like it might explode. Why are you showing me this? Because Miranda threatened me. She gave me until Friday to stop working with Lily, or she'd tell you her version of my past, make you believe I'm dangerous, obsessive, unfit to be near your daughter. Sophia's voice broke. And because Lily deserves better than a system that protects predators and punishes people who try to help. She deserves the truth. Daniel picked up the drive slowly, turning it over in his hands. If this footage is real, if what you're saying is true. He looked up, and Sophia saw fury burning behind the professional mask. Miranda Lowell destroyed your life to cover up a child's murder. Yes. And she's currently overseeing my daughter's care. Yes. The word hung in the air like a bomb. Daniel's hands clenched around the drive, knuckles white. For a long moment he said nothing, just stared out at the city with an expression that made Sophia think of storms gathering. The Lowell Foundation Gala is in 2 weeks, he said finally. Black tie fundraiser, 500 of Boston's elite, press coverage, live streamed. He turned to face her. Miranda will be there, accepting an award for excellence in pediatric care. Sophia's stomach twisted. Daniel, she destroyed you in private, with whispers and manipulated evidence. His voice was cold, calculating. We're going to destroy her in public, with truth and undeniable proof. He moved closer. But I need you to be certain. Once we do this, there's no going back. Miranda will fight with everything she has. It will be ugly, public, potentially dangerous. She already took everything from me once. Sophia straightened her spine. I'm not afraid of her anymore. Good. Daniel extended his hand. Then let's make sure she never hurts another child again. Sophia took his hand, feeling the warmth of it, the strength. Why are you helping me? You barely know me. You gave me my daughter back. His expression softened. And more than that, you risked everything to try to save a child no one else would fight for. That tells me everything I need to know about who you are. The words hit harder than Sophia expected. For 3 years, she'd carried the weight of failure, of not being believed, of not being enough. And here was Daniel Carter, powerful, wealthy, everything she wasn't, saying she was exactly enough. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. Daniel released her hand, his expression turning determined. Miranda Lowell is about to learn what happens when you threaten my family. And Sophia. He picked up his phone. Your family now. He dialed a number, putting it on speaker. Helen Carter's voice came through, sharp and aristocratic. Daniel, I'm in a meeting. Cancel it. I'm sending you a file. Watch it. All of it. His voice left no room for argument. Then call me back. We have a gala to plan. The Lowell Foundation Gala transformed the Four Seasons ballroom into something from a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light across marble floors. Champagne flowed from ice sculptures. Boston's elite mingled in designer gowns and $1,000 suits. Cameras from 3 news stations captured every moment. Sophia stood at the edge of the room, barely recognizing herself in the mirror. The dress had been Helen's idea, midnight blue silk that skimmed her figure. Professional styling had tamed her dark hair into soft waves. She looked like she belonged here. She'd never felt more like an imposter. You look beautiful. Daniel appeared at her elbow, devastating in a tailored tuxedo. Ready? Sophia's fingers tightened around her clutch, feeling the USB drive inside. As I'll ever be. 2 weeks of preparation had led to this moment. Ben had authenticated the footage. Helen had ensured every major media outlet would attend. Daniel's lawyers had prepared comprehensive legal briefs. The trap was set. There she is. Daniel's voice hardened as Miranda Lowell took the stage, resplendent in white Chanel. Good evening, everyone. Miranda's voice carried warmth and practiced charm. Thank you for joining us to celebrate another year of excellence in pediatric care. Tonight, we're honored to announce a new partnership with Carter Holdings. Applause filled the room. Cameras panned to Daniel, who smiled with perfect corporate grace. Sophia's heart hammered. Any moment now. Before we continue, Miranda said, I'd like to recognize the incredible team that makes our work. Dr. Lowell. Daniel stood, his voice cutting through the applause. Before you continue, there's something the audience should see. Miranda's smile flickered. Mr. Carter, if you have questions, this isn't about the partnership. Daniel signaled to the tech booth. It's about the truth. The screens behind Miranda went dark. Then the security footage began to play. The ballroom fell silent. Sophia watched Miranda's face drain of color as her own image appeared, meeting Raymond Chen, reviewing paperwork, physically altering medical records with Tommy's file clearly visible. The timestamp was undeniable. What is this? Miranda's voice cracked. Stop this immediately. But the footage continued. Financial records appeared. The $2.3 million donation, falsified documentation, damning emails. Daniel's voice carried across the stunned silence. 3 years ago, a therapist at your hospital reported suspected child abuse. Her name was Sophia Reyes. He gestured toward Sophia. You had her fired, her license revoked, her career destroyed. 2 months later, the child she tried to save died. Ruled accidental. Miranda stumbled backward. This is a lie, a fabrication. You destroyed an innocent woman's life to protect a wealthy donor. Helen Carter stood, her voice ringing with fury. You allowed a child to die rather than risk your funding. The murmurs in the crowd turned angry. Cameras captured everything. Sophia forced herself to stand. All eyes turned to her. My name is Sophia Reyes. Her voice shook, but held. 3 years ago, I reported that 8-year-old Tommy Chen was being abused. Dr. Lowell told me I was wrong, that I was jeopardizing the hospital's reputation. She held up the USB drive for everyone to see. This proves Dr. Lowell knew Tommy was being abused. It proves she falsified records. It proves she accepted payment to cover up a crime. Sophia's voice broke. Tommy Chen died because the people who should have protected him chose money instead. The silence was deafening. Miranda grabbed the microphone. That footage could be doctored. This woman is mentally unstable. The footage has been authenticated by 3 independent analysts. Ben Torres emerged from the crowd. I've been investigating this case for 3 years. I have copies being distributed to every media outlet right now. Journalists began pulling out phones, accessing the files. Exclamations of shock rippled through the crowd. Security! Miranda screamed. Remove these people! No one moved. Daniel stepped onto the stage. Miranda backed away. You made a mistake 3 years ago, Dr. Lowell. His voice was quiet, deadly. You destroyed the wrong person. He turned to the crowd. Carter Holdings is terminating all partnerships with Lowell Medical. We're establishing a legal fund to support any victims of Dr. Lowell's negligence. The applause started slowly, one person, then another, then dozens, until the entire ballroom was standing. Sophia's vision blurred with tears. She saw Miranda being escorted out by police officers, saw journalists rushing for statements, saw cameras capturing everything. She felt Daniel's hand on her shoulder. It's over, he said quietly. You won. Sophia looked at the screen still displaying evidence, at the applauding crowd, at the flashing cameras. 3 years of silence, broken. 3 years of shame, vindicated. I didn't win, she whispered. Tommy still died. I know. Daniel pulled her into an embrace, uncaring of the cameras. But you made sure he wasn't forgotten. You made sure it meant something. Standing there in borrowed silk, carrying 3 years of grief, Sophia finally let herself believe it. Justice wasn't perfect. It didn't bring Tommy back, but it was something. The headlines hit before sunrise. Sophia woke to her phone exploding with notifications. She scrolled through coverage with trembling hands. Lowell Medical Director arrested on fraud charges. Whistleblower therapist vindicated after 3-year fight. Carter Holdings CEO exposes major medical cover-up. The security footage had gone viral, 2 million views and climbing. A knock on her door. She expected reporters. It was Daniel, holding 2 coffee cups and looking like he hadn't slept. May I come in? She stepped aside. He handed her coffee and sank onto her couch. The medical board called an emergency session last night. He took a sip. They're reviewing your case. Your license will be reinstated within a month. Sophia's breath caught. That fast? The evidence is overwhelming. His expression softened. 3 law firms want to represent you for civil suits. Settlement offers will start coming today. She sat beside him. I don't want money. I know, but you deserve compensation. He turned to face her. My mother wants to offer you something else. Director of Pediatric Therapy at the new Carter Foundation. Established in Tommy's name. The words didn't register. What? We're creating a foundation for at-risk children. Trauma therapy. Investigating cases that fall through the cracks. His voice was passionate. Everything Tommy should have had. Helen wants you to lead it. Sophia's vision blurred. Daniel, I've been a waitress for 3 years. I don't know if I can. You saved my daughter. You fought for a child when it cost you everything. His hand found hers. You're the only person I trust to do this right. The weight settled over her. The responsibility, the opportunity, the chance to make Tommy's death meaningful. I need to do something first, she said quietly, before I can move forward. 20 minutes later, they stood in Mount Auburn Cemetery. Sophia carried white lilies, Tommy's favorite. The headstone was simple. Thomas Chen, beloved son, 2016-2022. Sophia knelt, placing the flowers carefully. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry it took 3 years. Her voice broke. But I promise, every child we help, every case we investigate, every truth we expose, it's because of you. You mattered, Tommy. The wind rustled through trees. Sophia closed her eyes, feeling the crushing weight on her chest begin to lift. Not gone, never gone, but lighter. Daniel steadied her as she stood. They walked to the car in silence, morning sun breaking through clouds. Lily wants to see you, Daniel said. She made you something. At the penthouse, Lily rushed to greet them. Miss Sophia, Daddy said you're coming back. I am. Sophia crouched down, accepting the fierce hug. Lily thrust forward a drawing, 3 stick figures holding hands. That's you, me, and Daddy. We're a team. Sophia's throat tightened. We are definitely a team. Helen emerged from the study. Lily, show Miss Sophia your room. I need to speak with your father. After Lily had dragged Sophia away, Helen turned to Daniel. The board approved the foundation budget, $50 million to start. She paused. I contacted Columbia. They're offering Sophia an adjunct professor position while she rebuilds her practice. Daniel raised an eyebrow. You've been busy. That girl lost 3 years fighting for what was right. Helen's voice was firm. We help her reclaim them. Her expression softened as Lily's laughter echoed. She gave us our granddaughter back. In Lily's room, Sophia listened to excited chatter about school and friends. The normalcy felt surreal. Miss Sophia? Lily's voice turned serious. Daddy said you were sad because you tried to help a boy who got hurt. Sophia's breath caught. That's right. Are you still sad? A little bit. But helping you makes me happy. And knowing I can help other kids makes the sadness smaller. Lily threw her arms around Sophia's neck. Good, because you're my favorite person. Later, Daniel drove her home. Sophia watched the city pass, the same streets she'd walked invisible and ashamed, now transformed. Thank you, she said quietly, for believing me, for everything. You did the hard part. His hand found hers. I just made sure people listened. They pulled up to her building. Soon she'd afford better. Soon she'd have her career back. But as Sophia climbed out, she turned back. I don't want to forget what these 3 years taught me. That justice matters. That truth matters. You won't forget. His expression was certain. It's who you are. Upstairs, Sophia's email flooded with job offers, apologies from former colleagues, interview requests. The medical board scheduled her license review for next week. Her old life, handed back piece by piece. But she kept returning to one message, a text from Daniel. The foundation paperwork is ready when you are. No rush. We'll be here. She looked at Tommy's photo, at Lily's drawing, at her reflection, no longer broken, not quite the naive therapist she'd been. Someone new, someone stronger, someone who'd survived and chosen to fight anyway. Sophia opened a new document and began typing. Thomas Chen Foundation for Child Advocacy. Mission Statement. The words flowed easily, 3 years of grief channeled into purpose. Outside, Boston sparkled, full of children who needed voices, truths that needed telling. And Sophia Reyes was finally ready to speak. 6 months changed everything. The Thomas Chen Foundation opened its doors on a crisp April morning, occupying a renovated brownstone in the heart of Boston's medical district. Sophia stood on the front steps, staring at the brass plaque beside the entrance. Thomas Chen Foundation for Child Advocacy, in memory of those who couldn't speak for themselves. Below it, a smaller plaque. Lily Carter, Pediatric Therapy Center. You ready? Daniel appeared beside her carrying a box of supplies. Lily skipped ahead, her yellow backpack bouncing. I think so. Sophia touched the plaque gently. It's real now. All of it. It's been real since the moment you decided to fight back. He shifted the box. Come on. The team's waiting inside. The interior had been transformed. What was once a neglected historical building now housed state-of-the-art therapy rooms, a playroom designed by child psychologists, offices for staff, and a conference center for training. Soft colors, natural light, everything chosen to make traumatized children feel safe. Helen Carter stood in the main lobby, directing movers with the efficiency of a general commanding troops. She spotted Sophia and smiled. Something that still felt new, still felt earned. The furniture arrived early. Ben setting up the media center upstairs. Helen consulted her tablet. We have 12 therapists starting next week, 5 caseworkers, and the legal team Daniel assembled. The hotline goes live tomorrow. Sophia's chest tightened with something that felt dangerously close to hope. How many calls are we expecting? Hundreds, if the preliminary outreach is any indication. Helen's expression turned serious. Miranda's arrest opened floodgates. People are coming forward with stories about other doctors, other institutions, other children who fell through the cracks. The weight of responsibility settled over Sophia's shoulders. 12 children initially. That had been the plan. Now they were looking at potentially hundreds of cases, each one a life hanging in the balance. We'll handle it. Daniel's hand found the small of her back, a gesture that had become natural over the past months, though neither of them had quite defined what it meant. That's why we built a team. Lily tugged on Sophia's sleeve. Miss Sophia, come see my room. The child led them upstairs to a bright corner office overlooking the Charles River. Inside, drawings covered one wall, dozens of them, created by Lily over months of therapy. Flowers and sunshine, families holding hands, words like brave and hope and voice scattered throughout. This is where you'll help other kids like me, Lily announced proudly. Daddy said you're going to be the boss of everything. Sophia laughed, despite the tears threatening to fall. Something like that. Will you teach them the songs you taught me, the hand games? Every single one. Sophia crouched down to eye level. And when they're scared, I'll tell them about a brave girl named Lily who learned to speak again, even when it was hard. Lily beamed, then skipped off to explore more rooms, leaving Sophia and Daniel alone in the office that would become her workspace. She's remarkable, Sophia said quietly. 6 months ago she could barely string 2 words together. Now she won't stop talking. That's your doing. Daniel moved to the window, hands in his pockets. The therapists we consulted after, they all said the same thing. You gave her more than techniques. You gave her belief that her voice mattered. Her voice does matter. Sophia joined him at the window. Every child's voice matters. That's the whole point of this place. They stood in comfortable silence, watching the city move below, people rushing to appointments, living their lives, unaware that in this building something was beginning that might change how Boston treated its most vulnerable children. The opening ceremony is in 2 hours, Daniel said finally. Press will be there. City officials, donors, everyone who wants to be associated with the success story, but not the hard work. Sophia's tone held no bitterness, just reality. They'll come for photo ops and tax deductions. We'll do the actual saving. Cynical. I like it. He turned to face her. But some of them genuinely want to help. My mother, for instance. As if summoned, Helen appeared in the doorway. Sophia, the mayor's office called. She wants to give remarks at the opening. I said yes. Her expression softened. She also mentioned establishing a citywide task force for reviewing past child welfare cases. With you as consultant? Sophia's breath caught. That's huge. That's justice. Helen stepped into the room. Miranda's conviction opened doors. 14 other families have come forward with complaints about Lowell Medical. The state medical board is conducting a full investigation. Criminal charges are being filed. The magnitude of it threatened to overwhelm Sophia. One case, one child, one moment of courage. And now the entire system was being forced to examine itself. I need air, she said suddenly. Just for a minute. She made it to the back garden, a small courtyard they'd designed specifically for children who needed quiet space. Benches surrounded a fountain, flowers blooming in carefully tended beds. Sophia sank onto a bench, head in hands, trying to process everything. You okay? Ben appeared, camera around his neck. I saw you bolt. I'm terrified. The admission came out raw. What if I can't do this? What if we miss something and another child? Stop. Ben sat beside her. You won't save everyone. No one can. But you'll save some. And those kids? They'll have futures because you fought for them. Tommy didn't get a future. No. But because of Tommy, dozens of other kids will. Ben's voice was gentle but firm. That's not redemption. It's not closure. But it's something. And sometimes something is enough to keep going. Sophia looked up at the brownstone, at the windows where her team was setting up, at the sign that bore Tommy's name. Inside, Lily was probably chattering to anyone who would listen. Helen was organizing with military precision. Daniel was building something that would outlast all of them. And Sophia, broken, rebuilt, scarred but standing, was about to lead it all. You're right, she said finally. It's enough. Ben grinned. Good. Because I need a quote for the press release and I'm terrified doesn't quite capture the heroic narrative we're going for. Sophia laughed, the sound surprising her with its genuineness. How about this? The Thomas Chen Foundation exists because one child's voice was silenced. We're here to make sure it never happens again. Perfect. Ben stood, extending his hand. Now come on. You've got a foundation to launch and a city to change. No pressure. Sophia took his hand, letting him pull her to her feet. Through the window, she could see Daniel searching for her, Lily bouncing at his side. Her team, her family, her purpose. 3 years ago, she'd lost everything trying to save one child. Today, she was beginning something that might save hundreds. Sophia straightened her shoulders and walked back inside, ready to speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves, ready to make Tommy's death mean something, ready to fight. 9 months after the gala, Sophia Reyes stood in a Columbia University lecture hall, facing 60 graduate students studying pediatric therapy. The case I'm about to discuss is one you've all read about, she began, pulling up a slide. Thomas Chen, 8 years old, died of accidental injuries while under the care of a major medical institution. The room fell silent. Everyone knew this case now. It had become part of the curriculum, a cautionary tale about institutional failure. I was his therapist. Sophia let the words hang. I reported suspected abuse. I was fired, lost my license, and spent 3 years believing I'd failed him. She advanced the slide, showing the security footage that had changed everything. I hadn't failed. The system had failed, and that failure cost a child his life. A hand shot up. How did you keep going, after losing everything? Sophia considered the question carefully. I didn't for a while. I survived, but I wasn't living. What changed was realizing that silence meant Tommy died for nothing. Speaking up, even 3 years late, meant his death could prevent others. After the lecture, Sophia gathered her materials, exhausted but satisfied. Teaching 2 days a week at Columbia kept her grounded, reminded her why the foundation mattered. Her phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Dinner tonight? Just the 3 of us. Lily's requesting your presence specifically. Sophia smiled. Over the past months, dinner at the Carter penthouse had become routine. She'd watch Lily do homework, discuss cases with Daniel, let Helen mother her in ways that felt both foreign and comforting. They'd never defined what they were becoming, too busy building the foundation, managing press, handling the flood of cases. But something had shifted between them, partnership evolving into something deeper, something neither seemed quite ready to name. That evening, Sophia arrived to find the penthouse unusually quiet. No Helen directing staff. No Lily's usual chaotic energy. Daniel met her at the door. She's in her room, getting ready. Getting ready for dinner? You'll see. His expression was carefully neutral, but something danced in his eyes. Nervousness, maybe anticipation. Lily emerged wearing her favorite yellow dress, carrying something behind her back. Miss Sophia, close your eyes. Sophia obeyed, feeling ridiculous and charmed at once. Small hands pressed something into hers, a box, velvet and rectangular. Okay, open. Inside lay a delicate silver necklace with 2 charms, a lily flower and a small book engraved with Columbia. It's from both of us, Lily announced. The lily is me, and the book is because you're teaching again, and Daddy said you like simple things. So we didn't make it too fancy. And, Lily, breathe. Daniel's hand rested on his daughter's shoulder, but his gaze was on Sophia. What she's trying to say is that you've become family. We wanted you to have something that represents that. Sophia's throat tightened. She'd received job offers from prestigious institutions, interview requests from national media, awards from advocacy groups. None of it had touched her like this simple necklace from a 7-year-old and her father. Help me put it on? Her voice came out rough. Lily bounced with excitement as Daniel fastened the clasp, his fingers brushing Sophia's neck with careful precision. In the mirror behind them, they looked like something Sophia had stopped believing in, a family, whole and healing. Over dinner, take-out Thai food, because none of them felt like cooking. Conversation flowed easily. Lily chattered about school, about her friend Emma, who was shy and maybe needed someone to talk to, about the new parrot vocabulary she was teaching. He can say justice now. Later, after Lily had been tucked into bed, Sophia and Daniel stood on the balcony overlooking the city. The November air was cold, but Sophia had stopped minding Boston's chill. The foundation served its 100th child yesterday, she said quietly, a 10-year-old boy, removed from an abusive home because his teacher called our hotline. That's incredible. It is. Sophia touched the necklace at her throat. But every case reminds me we're only catching the ones who make it to us. How many don't? How many Tommies are out there right now, suffering in silence? You can't save everyone. Daniel's voice was gentle. My mother keeps reminding me of that. We do what we can and we trust the system we're building will catch more than it misses. Your mother is terrifying and wise in equal measure. He laughed. She likes you. Says you're the daughter she wished she'd had. Stubborn, principled, unwilling to tolerate bullshit. High praise from Helen Carter. The highest. Daniel turned to face her fully. Sophia, I need to tell you something. Her heart skipped. Okay. I'm stepping back from Carter Holdings, making Helen permanent CEO. He ran a hand through his hair. I want to focus on the foundation full-time. Work alongside you, not just fund the operation. Sophia stared. Daniel, you don't have to. I want to. His expression was earnest. Building this with you, watching what we've created help children, it matters more than quarterly earnings and board meetings. I spent years chasing success, and it left me empty. He gestured toward Lily's room. She taught me what actually matters. You reinforced it. The words hung between them, loaded with meaning neither quite voiced. We make a good team, Sophia said finally. We do. He moved closer. And I'd like to explore what else we might make, if you're interested. Sophia's breath caught. 3 years ago, her ex-fiancé had left when she'd needed him most. She'd learned to stand alone, to need no one, to build walls that kept her safe and isolated. Daniel wasn't asking her to tear down those walls. He was offering to stand beside them, patient and steady, until she was ready. I'm interested, she whispered. Terrified, but interested. Good. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. We'll figure it out together. No rush, no pressure. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Boston sparkle below, a city that had broken her and remade her, that had taken everything and somehow given back more. Inside, Lily slept peacefully, no longer haunted by silence and trauma. Across the city, the foundation's lights burned bright, staff working evening shifts to handle the constant stream of calls. And on the balcony, 2 people who'd been shattered by loss found themselves carefully, tentatively, building something new from the pieces. Not redemption, not closure, but healing, slow and real and enough. Sophia touched the necklace at her throat, Lily and book, child and teacher, family and purpose, and let herself believe in possibilities again. The wind carried the scent of approaching winter, and Sophia Reyes smiled. She was finally, truly, home. 1 year after the gala, the foundation hosted its anniversary celebration. Sophia stood in the transformed brownstone watching families mingle, children who'd found their voices, parents who'd found hope, therapists who'd found purpose. The walls displayed artwork created by the kids they'd helped, each piece a testament to healing. We've served 243 children, Ben announced to the gathered crowd, camera capturing every moment. Investigated 78 suspected abuse cases, secured protective custody for 42 kids. And we're just getting started. Applause filled the room. Sophia caught Daniel's eye across the crowd. He'd been working alongside her for 6 months now, trading board meetings for case reviews, profit margins for progress reports. The partnership had deepened into something neither could ignore anymore. Helen approached, elegant in navy silk. The mayor wants to expand our model statewide. She's requesting you testify before the state legislature next month. Sophia's stomach flipped. Public testimony? You've done press conferences, interviews, panels. Helen's expression was knowing. But this feels different, doesn't it? More permanent. It means committing to Boston, to this work, to... Sophia gestured helplessly at the room, at the life she'd built from ruins. To us? Daniel had materialized beside them, Lily's hand in his. Is that what's scaring you? Sophia's throat tightened. Over the past year, they'd fallen into an easy rhythm, dinners 3 times a week, foundation work during the day, stolen moments on his balcony at night. Nothing officially defined, nothing formally declared. Safe and careful and utterly terrifying in its potential. Maybe? The admission came out soft. I'm not good at staying, at trusting things will last. Neither am I. Daniel's voice matched hers. But I'm willing to try. If you are. Before Sophia could respond, Lily tugged insistently on her father's sleeve. Daddy, now? You said we could do it now. Do what? Sophia looked between them, confused. Daniel pulled an envelope from his jacket. Lily has something to ask you. We both do. The child took the envelope with serious ceremony, presenting it to Sophia with both hands. Open it. Inside, a single piece of paper, official letterhead from Family Court of Massachusetts. Sophia scanned the document, words blurring as understanding dawned. Petition for adult adoption. You're asking to... She couldn't finish the sentence. To make it official, Daniel said quietly. You're already family in every way that matters. This just puts it on paper. Daddy explained that grown-ups can be adopted too. Lily bounced excitedly. And I want you to be my real mom, not just my favorite person. Well, you can be both. Is that okay? Sophia sank onto the nearest chair, vision swimming. Lily, sweetheart, I'm honored. But being a mother, that's permanent. That's forever. I know. Lily's expression turned solemn. You taught me that love isn't scary when it's real. This is real, right? The question hit like a physical blow. Sophia looked at this child she'd watched heal and grow, at the man who'd stood beside her through everything, at Helen watching with carefully concealed emotion. Real. It was terrifyingly, beautifully real. Yes, Sophia whispered. This is real. Lily launched herself into Sophia's arms, nearly knocking her over. So you'll say yes? You'll be my mom for real? Sophia held the child tight, feeling Daniel's hand on her shoulder, grounding her. I need to ask you both something first. She pulled back to look at Lily. Being a mom means I get to worry about you, set rules, probably embarrass you when you're older. Are you sure you want that? Yes. No hesitation. You already do all those things anyway. Sophia laughed through tears. Fair point. She looked up at Daniel. And you? Are you sure about this? Once it's legal, you're stuck with me. I'm counting on it. His expression was open, vulnerable. I'm not asking you to replace Lily's mother, but I am asking you to be part of our family, officially and permanently, to build a future together. The future Sophia had stopped believing in 3 years ago. The family she'd convinced herself she didn't deserve. Okay, she breathed. Yes, to all of it. The celebration around them continued, but in their corner everything had shifted. Lily chattered excitedly about telling her friends, about Sophia moving into the guest room, or Daddy's room if you want to share, about planning a party. Helen materialized with champagne for the adults, juice for Lily. To new beginnings, she said, raising her glass, and to the daughter I always wanted. Sophia clinked glasses, overwhelmed by the acceptance, the love, the sheer impossibility of how her life had transformed. Later, after guests had departed and Lily had finally crashed from excitement, Sophia and Daniel sat on his balcony under November stars. I'm moving too fast, Daniel said suddenly. The adoption petition, asking you to commit. You're moving at exactly the right pace. Sophia leaned against him. I'm the one who's been slow, careful, scared. You're allowed to be scared. After everything you lost, I didn't lose everything. Sophia touched the necklace she now wore daily. I lost the wrong things. The career built on prestige instead of purpose. The relationship that couldn't survive hardship. The naive belief that doing right guaranteed reward. She turned to face him. What I have now, this foundation, Lily, you, Helen, this family, I built it from nothing. From truth and pain and refusing to stay silent. It's real in a way nothing before was real. Daniel's hand found hers. I love you. I should probably lead with that. Sophia's breath caught. That's definitely something you should lead with. I love you, he repeated, voice stronger. Not because you saved my daughter, though I'm grateful for that. Not because you're brilliant and brave, though you are, but because you make me want to be better, to do work that matters, to build something meaningful. I love you too. The words came easier than expected. Even though you're bossy and overprotective and have terrible taste in takeout, he laughed. Those are fighting words. Good thing we work well together even when we fight. Sophia kissed him, soft and certain. I'm saying yes, Daniel. To the adoption, to this family, to whatever we're building. I'm all in. Good. He pulled her closer. Because Lily's already planning the celebration. Apparently it involves a bounce house and a petting zoo. Of course it does. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the city lights twinkle, listening to Boston's perpetual hum. Inside, Lily slept peacefully. Downstairs, Helen was probably already drafting press releases. Across the city, the Foundation's night staff handled calls from families in crisis. And on the balcony, two broken people who'd found each other in the wreckage, built promises for the future. Not perfect, not easy, but real and earned, and worth fighting for. Sophia touched her necklace, Lily and book, family and purpose, and let herself believe in forever. 5 years later, Sophia stood before the Massachusetts state legislature, testimony complete. The bill they just passed, Tommy's Law, mandated independent review of all child welfare cases, established whistleblower protections for medical professionals, and increased funding for abuse prevention programs statewide. 15 other states had already expressed interest in adopting similar legislation. One child's death transformed into systemic change. Outside the State House, reporters swarmed. Sophia had learned to handle media attention with grace, though she still preferred working behind the scenes. Dr. Reyes, how does it feel to see Tommy's Law pass unanimously? Sophia smiled at the doctor prefix, her license fully reinstated, her reputation rebuilt, her career transformed into something more meaningful than she'd ever imagined. Tommy Chen deserved better from the system that was supposed to protect him. This law ensures future children will get that protection. She gestured to the Foundation team beside her, therapists, caseworkers, legal advocates. We're building something Tommy never had, a network that believes children, that investigates thoroughly, that prioritizes safety over reputation. And what about the Thomas Chen Foundation? How many children have you served? Over 1,500 in 5 years. We've expanded to 3 locations across Massachusetts, with plans for New York and Connecticut. Pride colored her voice. Every child represents a life saved, a voice heard, a future possible. Ben captured everything on camera, documenting this moment for the Foundation's archives. He'd become their official historian, turning individual cases into powerful advocacy tools. At home, Daniel's penthouse that had become their penthouse, Lily waited with Helen. The 12-year-old had grown tall and confident, her early trauma evident only in the fierce compassion she showed other hurting kids. Mom! Lily rushed to hug her. We watched the whole thing online. You were amazing. Sophia still felt a jolt of joy every time Lily called her mom. The adoption had been finalized 3 years ago, legally cementing what had been emotionally true long before. Your mother was brilliant, Helen agreed, setting down her tablet. The senator from Worcester wants to discuss funding expansion. I took the liberty of scheduling a call. Of course you did. Sophia kissed Helen's cheek. Their relationship had evolved into genuine affection, complicated and real. Daniel emerged from his office, closing his laptop with satisfaction. The board approved the scholarship fund. Full ride to Columbia for any student pursuing pediatric therapy who demonstrates commitment to advocacy work. The Sophia Reyes Scholarship? Lily asked innocently. Absolutely not. Sophia's face heated. We're not naming it after me. Too late. Daniel grinned. Already submitted the paperwork. They'd fallen into this rhythm years ago, partnership in work and life, raising Lily together, building something larger than themselves. They'd married quietly 2 years ago, a small ceremony with just family and Foundation staff. Nothing dramatic, nothing public, just promises made and meant. That evening, Sophia found herself at Mount Auburn Cemetery, as she did every month. Tommy's grave now had company, a memorial garden funded by the Foundation, dedicated to children lost to systemic failure. She placed fresh flowers on his headstone, reading the inscription they'd added. His voice was silenced. Ours will not be. We passed Tommy's Law today. Sophia spoke to the stone like he could hear. 1,500 kids helped because of you. Hundreds more protected by the new legislation. Your death meant something, Tommy. I made sure it meant something. Footsteps behind her. Daniel and Lily, keeping her company on this monthly pilgrimage. Can I leave my drawing? Lily asked, holding up paper covered in flowers and sunshine. So Tommy knows kids are safe now? He'd love that. Sophia's throat tightened. They stood together, this family built from trauma and truth, honoring the boy who'd changed everything. Later, at the Foundation's evening event, Sophia addressed a room full of donors, advocates, and families. 5 years ago, I was a waitress carrying 3 years of shame and silence. Today, I'm a mother, a wife, a director of an organization that's changing how Massachusetts protects its children. She paused, gathering emotion. I didn't get here because I was special. I got here because I refused to let one child's death be meaningless. She gestured to the families present, parents and children they'd helped, staff who'd dedicated themselves to this work. This foundation exists because people chose truth over comfort, justice over silence, because Daniel Carter believed a waitress he barely knew, because Helen Carter turned grief into action, because Ben Torres never stopped investigating, because Lily showed us that healing is possible. Her voice strengthened, and because Tommy Chen deserved better than he got. Applause filled the room, but Sophia's eyes found her family, Daniel holding Lily's hand, Helen watching with pride, Ben capturing the moment. Her phone buzzed with a text from a former Columbia classmate. Just saw the news. Tommy's law is incredible. You did it. You actually changed the system. Sophia looked around the room, at the foundation logo featuring Tommy's name, at the families hugging their children tight, at the life she'd built from absolute destruction. She'd been fired, disgraced, stripped of everything that defined her, and from that, nothing. She'd built something that would outlive her, something that would protect children she'd never meet, in cities she'd never visit, for decades after she was gone. Not redemption, not closure, but purpose, earned through pain and persistence. Sophia pulled out her phone and typed a response. We did it. Tommy did it. And we're just getting started. Outside, Boston sparkled under spring stars. Somewhere in the city, a child was being protected because someone believed them. A therapist was reporting abuse without fear of retaliation. A system was working because people had refused to let it fail. And in the foundation that bore his name, Tommy Chen's legacy lived on, not in tragedy, but in every child who got the protection he'd been denied. Sophia Reyes, waitress, therapist, mother, advocate, looked at her family and smiled. She'd lost everything fighting for truth, and gained everything that actually mattered. The end. If this story moved you, please follow, comment, and share. Stories like Tommy's need to be heard. Children like Lily need to be protected. And voices like Sophia's need to be amplified. Don't let this be our last meeting. Stay connected. Make a difference.